Hey, what's going on, everybody? Bear with me 1 second while I get this up and running. Show my face so you can tell that I'm still here. Give me a few seconds as usual, and then we'll get rolling. Hopefully, everybody's having a good day. See, auto captioning is on. I don't know how to turn it off. The sharing, then we'll start the drawing process. Question for those of you watching: can you hear the music in the background? I can't ever tell if you can or not. And it's one more spot, and then I'll get it rolling. Okay. Thanks, Terrence. Appreciate it. Anyway, let me this rolling. And tonight, as usual, I'll be in Procreate. Here, let me get this started. The stream going. I'll be using, as you can see, AP Power Mirror. There we go. Zoom in. We're good to go. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Says light background and it's not disturbing. Okay, cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, so tonight, what I wanted to do was focus on like some cartoon designs. It'll be kind of like a children's book style that I'll be working on tonight. I'll zoom in on the screen as well so you can see that, and I'll just go ahead and get started. If you have any questions about my process or anything like that, don't hesitate to ask. I'll be sure to answer any questions you have. Yeah, and just so you know, in Procreate, I'm using the standard studio pen brush. But again, I've taken where it says no streamline, I've taken the streamline off. So that way there's no curve. I'll show you the with streamline. You can see how they kind of like like it kind of draws it on. I don't necessarily like it has kind of a lag to it, so that way the drawing stays smooth. I like it without that. Whoops, I gotta switch it back over. I like it without the lag, just so I can sketch quicker. But anyway, that's my personal preference, and this is a brush that I use uh, quite a bit, and it makes me commit to my line, so that's why I'm using it. Anyway, without further ado, let me get rolling. And I kind of have in mind how I want to sketch this already, but what's in your mind and what's on paper are always two different things. You can see I kind of started off kind of large there. And all I'm doing right now is just lining up my character. And you can see it slowly build on. And usually, if I'm drawing fast, then the rougher my image will look in terms of my initial sketch. But if I don't have like a deadline or anything, I tend to go a little slower, depending on what I'm trying to convey. Let me put that brush all the way up. And I'm actually going to redo those eyes. For some reason, when I draw digitally, I have trouble with the simplest things. Eyes are nothing but you can see just like lemons, sliced lemons. So that's one way to think about eyes. Is sliced lemons, and I'll make this look a little more appealing as we go on. Uh, but you get an idea, and add in some eyebrows helps. So this character, I was thinking more in terms of a mother. I'm not quite sure what I wanted to do yet. So if you have any ideas, definitely let me know. And I'm thinking about this in terms of uh, character for a book that a personal book I'm working on. It's my own book. Not working with anybody else on this particular one. And I was just thinking kind of like a mother figure for that. So maybe I'll give her like an angle and I'll probably turn her head a little bit. And if you can see, I'll smooth this line out here so you can see what I'm doing. All I'm doing right now is really just building shapes. And that's the way I build. So this is a triangle shape. If you can see, I'll put it out to the side so you can see. So it's this right here. So kind of a curved triangle shape. And then if I add certain aspects to it, then it's a hand and you can build it up. So that's really what I'm doing over here. Just thinking about this pose. And what I've learned is that if you put the hand first, then you can build the arm around the hand and not the other way around. So again, uh, I'll be working on again just really just figuring out how I want this to look. So I'll do a whole lot of scribbling. I know I say that quite a bit, but it's true. I'll do a whole lot of scribbling before I settle in on the lines I want to emphasize. She's a short little mama. So Yeah, I think I'll bend her leg. I don't know. Let me think. Sometimes I'll draw all the different positions just to see how I want to do it. And I'll go back here for the eyes, make them a little larger, and I'll put some more curves in her face and the cutesy look. I do destructive drawing, and what I mean by that is I'll delete stuff in a heartbeat because all I have to do is redraw it. So, and the eyes, for some reason, it takes me a while to get the look to make it look like they're looking at you. So I'll do several takes on that. And for her hair, and even her legs, I'll clean that up a little bit more, make her legs go all the way. So right here is where her hips are. It'll be like right here. And again, the goals have it real smoothed out. Uh, and then I'll go back over this on a second layer. I'm trying to bang it out pretty quickly here though, because I don't want to bore anybody. And usually when I slow up is when I'm doing my final lines or when I'm trying to really zero in on the design. I'll slow up a bit just to make sure that I'm precise, at least to my standards anyway. I think I'm gonna round their eyes out a little bit more instead of having them like lemon wedges. I'll make them a little higher lemon wedges. Yeah, I'll open the eyes up a little bit. Okay. Yeah, so she's shorty. I got a short wife, so again, I'm just picking up the clothes as I go, and I'll clean all of this up so it makes more sense. Um, but this, for me, helps fill in a lot of gaps. So I try to do as much as possible on this. See, whoops, I need to do that. So I'll give her some shorts because I'm hoping for warmer weather. So we'll give her some shorts to signify the warmer weather. And since I'm giving her some shorts, I'll actually give her some contour on her legs. Can't see it quite yet. Uh, oops. Normally I don't clean up this much during this phase. Make sure our feet are about the same size. And get a little purse on that side as well. And again, I can see my scribbles because I'm the one making them, so I understand the intent. But what I'll do is lighten it up a little bit, clean it up, so you guys can tell what I'm doing. Okay, so what I'll do is lighten the opacity, and then I'm gonna go back over it again, clean it up. So did you turn off the caption, closed cap? I did not. Is the captioning still coming up? Let me. Yeah, let me know if the closed caption is still coming up because I don't want to click on it because I'll get feedback into my mic. Add another layer. Then this is my smooth phase. First, before I do that, let me double check. What I do is flip my canvas, and then that way I can see if there's any. It looks pretty straight. I can tell if there's any sag or anything. So looks good to me. Let me clean up these shoulders. Just line it up. Okay. Go to my next layer. Zoom in. Oops. And again, oops. This is not my final rendering, but like I said, it'll help me zero in. Oops. It'll help me zero in on the actual shapes, and that's really what I'm going for right now is the shapes. Uh, Let me clean that up right there. And like I said, this is not my final, so I'm being still loose with it. No, leave it like that. I'll move her nose up a little bit higher. If I get too quiet, say something. Sometimes I get zoned out, so I'll try to be mindful. You can see I've slowed down just a little bit just to make sure I'm making intentional lines. And I've darkened the ink up a little bit, darkened the opacity. Um, Here, I'm just trying to think of how I want to do her top. So like I said, I want summer to be here, so I'm gonna give her a summer look. Clean up the hand. The next phase. Oops. Again, just right now, just really trying to find where these lines are. I may change that arm position because I don't really like it like that. So I'll figure out what to do with this hand right here. I'll get rid of the curve on it. I'm not a purse guy, so I don't know what kind of purse she's gonna have. This is gonna be a simple one. So there will be no fashion statements made on this one. Let's see. And I'll clean this up too in terms of how that's gonna hit. And now, and another thing about this brush, like if you can see The lines vary based on pressure. So when I do my cleanup, I'll use a completely different brush. Right now I'm still, and if you see the canvas turn, it's simply, hey, it'll have to be a mom like handbag. I don't know any other ones for real. Um, so it'll be like simple turn. Maybe I'll give her a scarf, a sash, or whatever you call it. Next time I'll brush up on like my mom or the female dress. You would think I'd pay more attention to it, being that I'm the only male in the house, but that's how it is. See, what's it? And I'm not sure if I'll even give her any definition on her legs, just to keep it simple. Say so is good. Oops. Let's see, I'll come out. Maybe I'll angle it down just a little bit. Yeah, I'll think about that. And keep the feet tiny. This from a style choice. And I'll clean that up as well because I know the shapes aren't quite where I need them to be. But just trying to get this down. Um, I don't know. I may change that top. I don't necessarily not feeling that top so much. Oh yeah, I had an idea in mind before I started, and I forgot all about it. So I'm gonna change up the top a bit and make it swoop more. So I was gonna do one of these kind of tops. I don't even know what it's called. And you'll be able to see it when I render it out because my lines are still kind of messy, but they're good enough for me right now in terms of understanding where I'm going. Yeah, I don't know what kind of type this is. Yeah, I switched that up just so I could like add some like jewelry maybe. Yeah, yeah, that'll work. Um, Again, using triangles here for the hand. I'm trying to think. Maybe she'll have a phone or something in her hand. I don't know. I need to think about this angle. Like I said, I'll clean it up. Just trying to figure out what to do. Yeah, I think it'll work. And then when I clean it up, I'll add the details and the fingers and all of that stuff. Okay, so I think I'll roll with this right now as far as the underdrawing. Um, Trying to think. I'm going to lighten it one more time. And so at each layer I just go through and I progressively clean it up. And what I'm going to do before I put on the final inks, and for this type of drawing, the final inks and the colors will be super quick. So that's probably like the fastest part of that. Um, anyway, I'm gonna go over it and just trying to think of how I want to clean up like the necklace and even the top. I'm still not concerned about the purse so much in terms of the way it looks, but I will probably change like how it lays on her. Lighten this up real quick, just a little bit. Okay, so I'll probably do that for that. And I'm just thinking of accessories right now. So it's not too plain. But if this were to be animated, I would keep it extremely simple. Because again, you got to draw it over and over. And even if you do like a flash build, you want to make sure that you keep in mind everything that you have to animate so you don't get lost in the sauce, so to speak. As far as her purse, across here, lays on lap. And all I'm just thinking about right now is just the positioning of it, how it would actually hit. Still not going to add any detail to it because I don't have any reference right now. So that would actually help if I had reference, but I don't. And I don't want to waste your time looking it up. So as you can see, I just held the line down and it straightened. And the cleanup for this item will be in the next pass. See, I'm trying to think of if there should be anything else for the shoes. Maybe I'll just clean up how it actually hits. I think my music stopped. Let me go check out. Yeah, I think I'll go to the previous playlist. There you go. So anyway, and also on this particular layer, I'm gonna make sure that my proportions are correct in terms of the leg. And all I'm doing right now is just really just seeing where it should hit. I won't even do it that way. I'll do it like this. So your upper leg and your lower leg are going to be pretty much the same length. So here, I'll clean that up as such. You might not be able to tell what I'm doing, but I just want to make sure that that upper leg wasn't coming down at the wrong spot. And also, let me check my perspective here just to make sure that everything's well. And so if she's bending her leg, there'll be a slight elevation of her toe, of her foot. And all I'm doing is just really just going over the structure of this leg. May look a little messy. Right now, but I'm just really just thinking this through. And so I need to come back over here, clean that up because I'm giving her, like I said, tiny feet. I just remembered that I wanted to give her tiny feet. I just want to also make sure that they're the same length. I mean, it's okay if you got different size toes, but I just want to make sure it's proportional. Because this is a cartoon, so I want to kind of keep the features exaggerated a bit. Yeah, I think that's about right. Because our hips are going to be angled. I'll do it in red so you can see. Because our hips will be angled this way. So it will give me some room for her to shift down, adjust her knee, and it'll still kind of line up there because of that. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to do on this layer before I move on. Um, and I'll actually do this in red since I have the red highlighted for the eyebrows, like that. And I'll actually change where she's looking. 'Cause I like for the characters to look at you. So I'm going to change that here. So when I go over it with the inks, it'll make sense. Yep, I think I like that. And also, for me, I don't want, like I said, I don't want this to be overly clean. Um, this is not necessarily an animated piece, but I like for it to be a little rough, so that way it has some kind of has some personality to it. So next, I'll do the inking. Like I said, if you got any questions, let me know. I'm just gonna lower the opacity. I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna group it. I'm gonna duplicate it, and then I'm gonna flatten that. So now this is the 100%. And if I want, I can lower it that way. And I'll do that just so it's not a distraction to me when I go over with the inks. And I'm trying to think of how I want to ink this. Typically, I'll do it in a variety of ways. If you've seen in my other streams, sometimes turn the I'll actually do a complete fill to where the whole background turns one specific color, and then I'll go add details over that. And typically I'll do that if I'm going to keep it without a line weight, but I think I'm going to keep a line weight on this. And if I change my mind, I can then do the fill afterwards. So I'll create another layer, and these will be what I'll call the final inks. And if I take my time, I can do it in one pass. This time I do. On this one, I have a streamline, and you can see how it's more smooth, kind of. And I'm just checking my line width, line thickness. Maybe a little smaller than that. Yeah, okay. So I think that'll be my line thickness. And I'm going to use one thickness throughout. And the reason why I work on doing one thickness throughout is, again, I'm always thinking, okay, if I'm going to animate this traditional animation, not necessarily like I said, like Flash or After Effects or even a Toon Boom, then I would think about, keeping it. I wouldn't have to worry about the consistency in terms of keeping it super thin, because it wouldn't be drawn over and over. You would just use the assets to build the animation. But if I'm thinking about, okay, you know what, I am going to do a slight animation on this because I said I was going to start adding some kind of motion. I'll probably just do like an eye blink or something just to keep it simple. But anyway, I'll go ahead and do the outline, and we'll go from there. Where do I want to start? And as you can see, if I hold it, it smooths out. And what I'm going to do is and like I said, I'll take my time on this section just so I can make sure the consistency is there that I want. And I'll come in here. There we go. I'll make her chin a little smoother and less pointy. Then I'll hold this. See how that smoothed out? I'll do the same for her earring. Smooth it. And I'll keep it at an angle. Make it like an ellipse. I'll do that there. Stop that there. Yeah, so what I'll do actually is I'll do the jewelry on a separate layer. So that way I can draw through on this without messing up how the jewelry is going to hit. And I'll come in here, smooth that part out. Oops. And then you can see how much smoother that is. I'm gonna redo that eye. And the reason why we redoing it is because I saw it was slightly off on the original. Oops. So I want to clean that up now. I'm gonna redo it again. If I don't like it, I'll just keep doing this process over and over until I like it. And this is the patience part. You got to just teach yourself to be patient with it so you don't rush. Which is something that I'm always working on, is being more patient when it comes to doing the work. I'm trying to think of how this on her arm is going to hit. I think I'll do it like that. Because however you do the one side, you got to go do the other. So, okay. I'll bring that up. Let me zoom in on that. Make sure. Whenever I'm smoothing out, I like to make sure that everything's lining up in terms of my line weight, especially if I'm using a single line weight. I just realized she only has. Oh, you know what? So I'll do this on a separate layer. So normally when I do cartoons, I do like three, and I may clean that up still. Do like three, four fingers, including the thumb. So I'm doing this on a separate layer. So the thumb would actually be back here on the other side of her hip, but because it's on the back side of her hip, you can't see it. Oops. So I'll just undo that. Just wanted to explain that because it might look kind of wonky. That's the reasoning behind how I drew it. And actually, I'm gonna delete this part here. It doesn't. Oops. Switch. There we go. And also, when I'm doing my inking, I always, even when I'm doing my sketching, I always erase with the same kind of pencil that I use. You know what? I'm just gonna delete that altogether. I don't like it. Clear. And what I'll do is draw through this as well, and then I'll put my hand on a separate layer because I want to make sure it's done right, especially if so much emphasis is put on it. Put a slight curve in there. Sorry about that. I think I'll keep it straight from here to here. I'll keep zooming in so you guys can see it a little closer. Bring this up here. Yeah, I'll do the person on this layer as well. I said I'll try to keep in mind that you guys. Oops. I'll just keep that straight and then I'll curve it there. Zoom out, make sure I'm keeping the same thickness. Legs. Just think about limbs. You got to always check the other limb to make sure that yeah, looks a little crooked. Yeah, added a slight dip there. Okay. Oops. Yeah, sometimes you gotta be careful with Procreate. Like if you leave your finger on the canvas too long, it'll change the color on you. That's what just happened to me. Put that on the purse just to show some depth there. Do that. Come in there. I don't know how purse straps work. Yeah. And again, just hold the straight line and Procreate. Just hold down, and you got your straight line. And I'll make the same, whatever it is I just made on that side over here. And I'm gonna draw this back side of her. Come in, make sure it's cleaned up. So that is the tedious part. Oops. And that's another thing you gotta worry about. Make sure that you don't over tap the screen because you can have random marks everywhere. I've done that before, not paying attention, and I zoom out. Oh no, I did not. Wow. Whoa. Yeah, I'll definitely reach out to our family. Man. Yeah, my man Lamar just told me one of somebody we know died. It's definitely not good news for sure. There's been a hopefully everybody who's watching or who watches this, hopefully your families are being safe and kept secure because I've had a whole lot of people die recently. So I'm always mindful of people's families. Never take it for granted. So all I'm doing right now is just cleaning this strap up, and then I'll go to my next layer. Oops, hold on, I gotta think that through. Just go through here like that. Come up here. and I'll add like patterns and things like that on my color layers. Thinking how I should do this, since I'll be basically drawing it here. Is what I'll do. So in Procreate, they allow you to draw shapes if you just draw it out and hold it. So I'll demonstrate that real quick just so you can see what I'm talking about. And then if you hit edit, you can go through and edit it. It's not a vector program, but it has some good capabilities to it. And this is not necessarily perfect perspective. So I'm trying to think. See what that looks like. Sometimes you just gotta keep working with fingers. They can get real wonky real quick if you don't do it just right. You gotta do it just like keep it tight. But you know what? I'm actually gonna redo that because they're up too high. Okay. I had to zoom out to make sure I was keeping the fingers as small as I wanted them to stay. Just so you guys know I'm still here. Yeah, it's definitely still thinking about news that just got. It's definitely sad to hear when people, die too young. Friend of my wife died yesterday, actually. Make sure living each day to the fullest and, or doing what's necessary to move the needle forward for your life because it's very limited. Make sure you love those you love and let them know it. Okay. Sometimes I just go back and just draw back over certain sections. And I always turn off the underlying layer. And you can see how much smoother that is. But I'll go back and, like I said, start adding just slowly adding in the details. Mm, yeah. Add another layer here. And zoom out. And all I'm doing, again, just thinking about basic shapes so I can add my fingers. And so the fingers would wrap around here like that. And then I have to make sure that I keep that last bit proportional because it's easy to get sidetracked from your proportions. And this is on a completely new layer. And so what I'll do before I move on is merge it down. And I'll just come here and just do that. And so what I'll do is normally I would just mask it, but I'm gonna go ahead and just erase. And actually I'm gonna use the lasso tool just to speed it up. And I want to get all of that. I'll delete it out. I'll clear it out. And then also I'll do the same. I'll go above this, do one more layer. And adding the bracelet. And I'll just do that like that. Come here and delete that out like that. And you see I'm switching through layers. And the layers switching through the layers allows me to delete certain things without affecting other stuff. So let me see what that is. So I need to go here and delete that. Since I'm on this layer, I'll curve this around a little more. So the pinky, that is the pinky, this little one here. And again, I'm only drawing this as a 4-finger character. In most cartoons that aren't realistic looking, they're typically drawn with 4 fingers, just to make the animation a lot smoother, simpler. But if you have something like a Voltron or a Avatar style cartoon, then you'll have all 5 fingers typically. Most of the time, you won't even notice. But for those cartoons, they definitely, because they do a lot of hand manipulation. Yep. Yeah. See, so you got to think the thumb is what's missing on the hand on the hip. Actually, let me curve that a little bit more on this piece right here, so it makes sense. Yeah. So next time you look at cartoons, look at the Look at the hands. Notice, take a look at the hands, and you'll see exactly how they line up on the cartoons. And you'll be like, oh, I never noticed that before. Okay, I'll go back to this layer, and I'm gonna flatten all these layers before I add my color, just so I can show you a quick way to do color inside of Procreate. Do this piece, keep that like that, and then just come here, boom, and also I'm gonna actually take that down just a notch. And all I'm doing right now is just going through and adding details on these little pearl things. And I'm doing stuff like this. I'm like, why did I bother doing pearls? I could have left her neck alone. She'd have been all right. Now I just zoom out just to see if it's looking halfway decent. And all I'm doing is drawing the circle and holding it. 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 I'm gonna redo that one. Drawing the circle and holding it. Drawing the circle and holding it. And I'll do that. And then what I'm gonna do is go to the neck layer and erase this part right there. Then over here, do the same there. Next, I'm going to add the other piece to this necklace. I'm going to keep that simple. I'm not going to overdo it. Yep, of course I was on the wrong layer, but hey, it's all good. Next, I'm going to add the mouth and the eyebrows, and she'll be ready to go. You know what? I'm trying to think. So I said I was going to animate this, but I'm going to keep the animation real simple. So I'm trying to think of what I'll animate. I'll just animate the eyes and the eyebrows. Call it a day, maybe. So you know what? This is what I'm gonna do. First, I'm gonna flatten all of this. Oh, I need to do the hairline. The hairline is not gonna change. So let me do the hair. And I'm just gonna hold that, edit the shape. I can bring that in. And also, so when you're thinking about animating, in the way I'm going to animate it, just always think about it in terms of what layers need to be left out and what you want to animate. So this way, you plan it properly, so you don't have to do more work than necessary. Let me edit that so I can move that down. Hit circle. I think I'll leave her. I'm gonna add a. Oops. I'm gonna hold that just so I can edit the line. Hold, edit. And what I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to flatten these and I'm pinching all those together. And as you can see, everything is all one layer. Let me zoom in there. I have to clean that up where the buckle is for the purse. But you can see that. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to group all of that. And I'm doing this for a reason. I'll show you the reason here in a second. And I'm going to add another layer. This time I'm going to draw the mouth as well as the eyes and the eyebrows on, and I'm going to do these on different layers, but I'm going to group those layers and I'll show you why. Uh, my mouth. Mm-hmm. And then my eyes. What I'm going to do with that. Okay, I know how I'm going to do it. Drag, fill. Mm, drag, fill. Okay. So next, what I'm going to do in Procreate, I'm going to color it first, and then I'm going to go in and do a slight animation. And the animation is just going to be a blink, and I'm going to adjust her smile. And that's going to be it, just so I can have some motion for it. I can go ahead and turn off that layer there. As you can see, the lines are fairly clean, ready for whatever. So I'm going to reference this layer right here. And in Procreate, what that means when you reference a layer, it's when I drag, you saw me do the drag and fill for the eyeball. So when I drag and fill, I'm going to do it on a completely separate layer, but it's going to fill in as if it's on the same layer as the lines. And you'll see what I'm talking about when I do it. I'll just label this so you can see. If I don't do a lot of layers, I don't worry about the labeling because it's easy to manage. But if I have a lot of assets, then I'll definitely start layering the labels. Or if I'm planning on animating in another program or just working on this later, then I'll definitely like label everything. But right now, it's not a big deal. And I'm going to do all the colors on the same layer because I'm not going to do anything extra with this. And so I'll do the skin tones. And I'm on a completely separate layer. And as you can see, it honors my lines. See, here's my lines here. And so it honors my lines. So And I'm just dragging and dropping. Normally, I would keep all these colors on a separate layer. Um, you know what? I may keep the skin on a separate layer because I tend to adjust the skin more than anything else. Let me adjust her tone here. Okay, yeah, we'll keep her like about that complexion. Um, I'll keep the color palette limited. Trying to think. Yeah, I'm a. I'm gonna just go ahead. I'll call that color, and I'm gonna call this skin, just in case I decide to change my mind later. But it's still gonna use the same reference layer, so it doesn't make. Yeah, I'm not sure if Fresco does it or not. That's why I don't use Fresco that often. Uh, it has some good brushes, but like I said, I'm a Procreate fan. I love Procreate, so this is what I'm referencing. Yeah, so I like this aspect of Procreate. Let me zoom in there so these fills drop in pretty quick. Oops. And I'm keeping the colors pretty flat. Again, I'm just treating this for myself just to think about things in terms of if this were animated. So that's the way I look at stuff. Mm, I'm gonna make this my default so I can just go here without having to look at all the other color palettes. Trying to think. Let's see, and also another thing you can do in Procreate is click. They have color harmonies. So if I wanted to do like a harmonious color, I can. I'll choose this pink for example. It's not what the color I was initially going to choose, but it actually works, so I'll go with that. And so just quick color fills, and I'll usually just adjust the colors that I've chosen just to keep the color palette simple, and then utilize other colors for for my accessories. Uh, this purse, I'll make it the same color as the shoes because they gotta match. I'm thinking maybe I'll color that something. Yep, you know what? I'm actually gonna leave it that color, and I'm actually here. I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna change it to the same color as the shirt, and I'm going to change the shirt color. How about that? And you'll see what I'm gonna do with the shirt. Uh, I said I was gonna put a pattern on the shirt, so that's what I'm going to do. Change those shoes. Mm, As you can see, it didn't fill in all the way because I can just go in and just color it. Let me go to my skin layer and miss the gap. So I'll just fill in that gap. Go back to my color layer. Yeah, and like I said, with these types of drawings, the coloring goes fairly quickly. That's why. You stupid. And so I'll just come back, and here I could get fancy with it, but yeah, I'll just use this color instead. Oops, don't want to do that. So I'll just go in and color these individually. Yeah, I didn't have to make these pearls like that. I could have actually made them larger, so that way I wouldn't have to call color all the tedious pieces. So that goes back into planning, and as you can see, I just made this character up, so there was no planning. But if I had to redo it over, that would be I would change some of her accessories. And so, whoops. And I'm holding my finger down, so when you see that highlight like that, that's me holding my finger down. And all I'm doing is just selecting that color because I'm going to make the straps that color. And as you can see here, I need a color that gap in there, color of her shirt. And so now I'm thinking about this pattern I said I was going to stick on her shirt. I may just make one big flower or something and call it a day because I don't want to get too tedious into that. So I can just finish this out and add the animation in. So I'm just going to make up a design. And I'll use that. Pull it in like that. Okay. So I'm going to color these in. I'm going to switch my brush. And also what I'm going to do is you see how I slid that over? It locked into transparency. So if I do fills, it doesn't go past that. And that's very important because you don't want to color outside the line, so to speak. Oops. Yes. Actually, a faster way to do this is this. Take the lasso tool. And as you can see, it's adding. If you look at the bottom left corner, or just the bottom where it has the plus sign, that means it's adding these colors in, or it's I'm using the and the part that's clear is the part that's selected. Actually, everything else is not selected. And then I'll just go here, click fill, then boom. And actually what I'm going to do is adjust the saturation. You know what? I think I may just leave it. I'm gonna just leave it. I was gonna adjust the saturation a bit, but you know what? I I still need to get to what I want to get to. Mm, no, there's a slight adjustment, nothing major. And let me color her phone. Oops. Gotta undo that. Now when I color the phone, it'll fill in. Color the. Whoops. Let me zoom in. Because what happens when you see it do that, it means that I've hit the outline, and so it's filling in the outline. So we don't want that, so I'll just zoom in. Whoops. Something's not closed there. Try one more time. There we go. May add a gloss to the phone a little bit. Maybe I'll add some shadows. But right now I'm gonna get to the animation part just so you guys can see that. Um, oh yeah, I need to do her lips. Add, and I'll just make this the new reference. And then her lips I'll just fill in. Oops. Remember, zoom in, and okay. So like I said, I'm gonna keep this simple. And in order to do animation in Procreate, you turn on Animation Assist. And what happens, you see that went like out. Here, I'll zoom in so you can see. And that's because the way Procreate works is it changes, it focuses on each individual layer from there. And so what I'm going to do is make this the background. And also you see I changed where that darkened back in. I'm going to change this in the onion skin. I'm going to take all the way down. So I'll take it to 1 so that way I can see the layers prior to. And then so I need to go here. And the issue is, there we go. So now this is all one frame. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a hold on that for like 3 frames. Actually, you know what? I'm going to undo that. Because when I add a frame, let me go back. Take that hold off. And the reason I'm going to take the hold off is because I need to see how this is going to line out, and then I'll adjust the frames after I've drawn all the additional frames. I'm only going to do 2 more frames, so it's not going to be a big deal, but you'll see how it works. So I'm going to duplicate that. And as you can see, it added a new frame at the bottom. And so what I'm going to do for this particular one, uh, see those, so the eyes are right there. All I'm going to do is move the eyes down. And I'm going to clear that. And I'm going to adjust the smile. And I'm going to, oops. I'm going to delete this bottom lip. And the only reason I'm deleting it is because Procreate doesn't do a great job of allowing you to resize things in terms and keeping it consistent. And let me get the right brush here. Oops. Make sure I got the right color. And all I'm doing is just resizing it just a little bit, just to show that the mouth is adjusted open. Oops, used the wrong layer. So it's a quick fix. I'll do a swipe down. I'll cut and paste that layer. And I'll merge that down. And so the way that this works in Procreate is if you keep all these layers in groups, then it just acts as a new frame for animation. And so I'm going to go back to this one. I'm going to, you know what? I don't even have to do that. I'm going to make this my new reference layer. I'm going to close that. Go in here. Oops. Undo that. Make sure I'm on the right layer first. This is my lip layer. And I'm going to fill that in. I'm going to go to my... And so you can see here when I open up the layer, it says layer 14. You can see the colors there. And it's reduced down similar to the way the lips are reduced down here. 37. That's why I just duplicated these layers. So I'm going to take my onion skin off. And then I'm going to let you see how this works. See, when I move back to the other frame, then I move back to that frame and the eyes change, and I'll clean up the eyes, make sure that they're rounded. But that's it in terms of that. And what I'll do is adjust. Take my magnetic tool off. I'm going to adjust the eyebrows just a little bit. And actually, I'm going to turn these layers up on the lips. Just so that they show up. And go in and smooth these eyes out. And again, you know what? I'm gonna just leave it that simple. Do a 4-frame on that, 4-frame hold, or 5-frame hold. Do the same there, and I'm gonna adjust the speed, keep the speed down. Yeah, I'm gonna do it even more since it's so slow. I'll keep it just okay. Yeah, very simple. And what I'm gonna do, since I'm gonna keep it that simple, I'm gonna just go back and add a shadow layer, and then that'll be it. So the shadow layer is just the real basic, like one light source layer. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to duplicate this color layer, and I'm going to duplicate this skin layer. And the only reason why I'm doing that, just in case I want to go back and change it later. And I'm going to merge those two. And the reason why I'm doing that is so when I add the shadow, I can use that as my clipping mask, so I don't have to be as precise when I lay down the shadow. So it's just a way for me to save time. I call this shadow. And the color I'm gonna shadow with is blue. Maybe I'll do like a bluish purple. That right there. And what I'll do, um, I'll leave it in normal mode so you can see how I'm coloring this on, and then I'll switch the mode so it'll make sense. So I'll just use this for my outlines. As you can see, I'm coloring outside the lines. Whoops. And the reason why that happened is because I still have the reference layer on, so I got to make sure I turn the reference layer off. Because when you do a fill like I normally do, it doesn't work because everything in the document will be referring back to that reference layer. And again, so my light source is coming in this way. Well, and again, I'm keeping it real basic in terms of my shadow layer here, so I can. You see, I'm just doing that. Keeping this real basic, kind of rushing through it just so you can see how I'm doing it. And I'm doing it this way on purpose. So you get an understanding of how this works. And this is typically when I'm doing the shadow layer. I don't care how much out of bounds I go, because again, I know that all of this is going to be masked out. So it doesn't even really bother me. And if you haven't done this before, then it probably looks like I'm just messing up my image. Oops. A few more, then I'm done. And thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Man, I didn't even realize how late it was. Thank y'all for watching. I'll do a slight one on the nose just because. Mm, let's see. And I'm a little nitpicky. And again, the good thing about this kind of stuff is you're the one that's making it up. So it can be whatever. I mean, you want to try to stay as close to actual lighting as possible. Uh, I'm using StreamYard to stream. Um, so that's what I'm using right now. Um, I'm thinking about using like OBS. Um, I forgot who made it. It's not the standard OBS, but it's another version of OBS. I thought about using that for my streams because it works really well with Twitch, and I thought about streaming on Twitch. So okay. That. Okay. So what I'm going to do next is the clipping mask, and you see how that just automatically just clamped off all the extras. And next I'm going to use overlay and just tone it down a bit. Yeah, you can just make the comments pop up. There's another one. I can't think of it right now. I'll announce it when I use it because it has a lot more features. Uh, it's a version of OBS that you can theme and add comments in the whole nine. So I'll probably start using that. But anyway, if I zoom in, you can see the highlights, the shadows rather, on her. And just go back in here. And it just still works the same. So you can do that. And if I wanted, I could even, I'm not going to, but add like a Gaussian blur to it. Give it like more of a soft feel, but I'm not going to do that. There's all kinds of things you can do at this point, but yeah, this is, yeah, I think good to go. I don't have a name for her. Maybe somebody can name her. And anyway, and and that is it. I'll probably change this background color. I'll do it in here. I'll try that. Oops, let me go to my skin. Change this to reference. So that way I can. And there we go. All All right. I thank everybody for checking this out. Um, until next time. Peace.